Hello friends, welcome to my channel SushantChessWise. Today we are at the next topic of our calculation training and we are going to look at three examples today. Basically these are the same techniques of calculation which I always discuss, but the positions now we are taking are of intermediate level and I am only changing the theme. So let's get started with the first position here. It is white to play and win. The first one is somewhat easy, but do try to calculate all the variations and then match with the answer. When we look at this position, see we can make out white queen is very active, the black king is not well placed, the knight is eyeing the g5 square and the rook is ready to be transferred to the h file. This gives us enough idea about white's activity. Do note that the poorly placed black pieces are also somewhat useful. The queen and the rook, see, both are eyeing f2. That is the point. And queen also has the very important check from b1. So this shouldn't be underestimated. Let me show you one interesting variation here. Most people see easily find the move queen e8. We know that we should always use check, capture, attack and then proceed in that order. So queen e8 check, kh7, and now you must have seen the move knight g5 check. Very strong, but the point is that after h takes g, rook h3 check, kg6, most people want to play the move queen h8, which looks very strong because of the threat of qh5 or c qh7. Both are mating. But there is one problem in that line. We will come to that. Secondly, if king is played to g6, then just see queen f7 check, king takes g5, and amongst many moves like f4 or h4 or queen h5, h4 is very quick. See, the point is after king h4 there is see just queen h5 mate, and after kg4 the rook joins from g3, king h4, queen f4, kh5 and queen g4 mates. See, it looks easy when we see these solutions, but do note that it's very important to calculate through these variations before playing. So the game went with hg5, rook h3 check, kg6, and here was my point that if queen h8 was played, then see the move is blunder, because see now black becomes very active. He starts with qb1 check, kg2, and it looks like a no check position, but there comes rook f2, king f2, queen c2 check. Do note that after kf3 or g3, queen d3, this king cannot move up from f4, e4 or even the h4 square. So what happens? The king comes down, again queen check, kg3, queen check, kg2, queen check, kg1, queen e1, and there is no respite from checks. So it will be a drawn game in a winning position. The white player had seen the stunning move here, rook h6. We have discussed all throughout my lessons from the time I have started. When the king has no place to move, the sacrifice check is the most potent thing. Okay, this I have been telling since last 3 years. Many dismiss this theory, but see, it's game over now. After gh, just queen g8 checkmates, and after c king h6, queen check, kg6, queen h5 also mates on the spot. Not a very difficult position one would say, but it's a very good practice of calculation of variations. Let's go to the second one now. So this is our second position at hand and it is black to play this time. Basically once again we see black is very active. The white king is not looking safe, but see the major threat here, queen a8 is met, and it looks like black is struggling a bit because see this queen is unable to join the attack very soon from h3, and the move qg4 outright gives nothing after king f1. See queen check, ke1, queen check, kd2, it's no check and there is a mate looming. So it looks like the move rook g8, see whichever comes h or d doesn't matter, right? But the problem is that only one of them works. Let's see one by one. If rook h g8, which is more logical, one would say king f1. Now see qh3 gives nothing, we just saw ke1, rook check, kd2 and here nothing happens. Rook d1 check, and now white may not take kd1, just kc2, rook c1 and bishop takes on c1. So this queen really never manages to give check from the f1 square. Even if it would have been, still white was winning. And the other move rook g1 check does nothing much, kg1, see once again queen check, king f1, queen check, ke1, qg1, kd2, it's a no check position and white is already threatening a mate, we know that. So here the stunning idea is that after rook dg8, the queen's path becomes clear. We will see how. King h1 or f1 to both comes c. Rook g1 check, very important move. And now the point is that after forcing kg1, we have already seen qg4 does nothing. Here comes the stunning move qg8. The d8 rook basically cleared this queen's path to g8. So now comes c. After of course king h1, qg2 mates. So king f1 forced, and the main point was this diagonal, okay, which makes all the difference. Now comes qc4 check. If ke1, then queen e2 mates. So king g1 forced, rook g8. Both bishops can be given one by one. The rook will take them, and after king h1, queen f1 mates nevertheless. Once again, the position was not too difficult, but we had to look at these variations and also figure out what works and what doesn't. That helps us during our games actually. So let's go to the third and the final position now. So this is our third position, really tricky one, and here we may have to use our 5 steps which I always tell for solving any position. That those are see all the pieces, count attack support, see the relationship between the pieces, find the weakness, and then find moves using check, capture, attack. And the sixth important step, follow these same steps after our and the opponent's move. That is the most difficult thing to do. Here see, at first it looks like these king and queen c are at the range of knight fork. One most important point, and do note that the squares f2 and f3 can be labeled as weak squares. Another very important point, this queen is eyeing the g3 square, which also can be termed as a weakness. So the main defender, you would see this rook which is coming in both these paths. See, if you see this line, the rook is obstructing, and if you see this diagonal, again the rook is obstructing. So black relates and understands that this rook is the defender. Okay, so we will see what to do to that. Let me show you first. If direct ne3, nothing much, just rook takes, pawn takes, rook takes, nothing, just queen moves to c3 with a check, and it is white which would win very easily. It's just a piece up, there is no attack. Also the move knight g3, which looks great at first. See, the pawn is lost, f4 is attacked thrice, but here comes the intermezzo. Queen c3 check first, king moves, rook takes, and see, queen takes g3. The piece is once again lost. So of course white was winning. So black realized that the rook on f4 is the defender, and to the defender we do 4 things. One of them, destroy, deflect, pin, or interfere. And here comes the move g5, trying to deflect the rook. This is the key point of this. And see, the rook is struggling. The rook has only one place, that is on g4. Everywhere else g3 comes under fire. Let me show you. If f3, one of the most logical ones, it fails to knight h4 check. As I said, f3 and f2 were looking like weakness after gf, rook f3. 3 threats, too difficult to stop. Rook f2, rook g3, and queen g3. So black is of course winning. If rook f1, then 2, queen check, kh1. Black can take h3 first, kg1 check, again push the king inside, and then do ne3. Easiest winning move after rook f7. Many suggest king f7 actually, avoiding this queen c3 check, and see, the knight is going. But see, rook f7 also works. Is a pretty line. Queen c3 check, kg8, and the knight cannot be taken. See, if rook takes, we can easily dismiss it, right? See, then rook f1 mates, and if the queen takes, then still rook f1, queen e3, and see, black is just winning. These pawns are too slow. Black is soon going to march these 2 pawns and made the white king. Same is rook e4, again met by qg3. So this way. So white tried the only move, rook g4, and now what would you do as black? The position still looks little tricky. There is a very important move on the third move from here. We will see that. First ne3 check, rook takes force, because this time it's a mighty family fork from e3 square, so re3 forced. See the second move, rook f2 check, king g1, and the third move. This is the stunning move which many students suggest and then they leave it. They say queen f6 very strong. There is a deadly threat of see rook f1 and queen a1. See two threats, but there is third as well. We will see that many reject because of the move queen c3. But unfortunately, see queen c3 loses to rook f1 check, kg2. The pinned queen first trades and then after takes rook 8 f2 checkmate. See these small lines are very intricate ones and these are the crux of calculation. We should not leave any line unless we enter little further and cross check it. The reason for not calculating for a weak player is that he is unsure, and the very same reason for a strong player for calculating is the thing that he is also unsure. See, both face the same problem, but the approach is different. So here comes C, rook e1, only move to guard f1. Now black finishes the game. I hope you must have seen by now the stunning move rook g2. This was the third threat. If kg2, we will come to the, it's like the same like queen f2 check the main line. So let's see kh1, and once again black gives rook h2. The rook is sacrificed again and again. So king h2 forced this time if kg1 queen f2 mates, and after kh2 you must have seen queen f2 check, kh1, queen takes e1, simple mating pattern, kg2 and rook f2 checkmates. Indeed good calculation by black. Variations are all see long and somewhat tricky, and this is what my point is. I try to show you how to solve the complicated positions using our methods. I am not elaborating all the methods every time because I have been doing so through this playlist. You can check the playlist, whole playlist of solving how to solve the position quickly. I hope you are liking these lessons. Do let me know in the comments below. Thanks for your time.